Alright, so today let's talk about my favorite subject, taxes. Let's talk about how the working class, or the people that have a taxable income, pay for everything. First, let's stop pretending our economy is complicated. So people usually think they understand taxes. They'll argue about income or sales tax. They argue about whether corporations are paying their fair share. The entire debate is a fucking theater. So redirect your attention away from the actors, away from the paid actors, because their debate focuses on labels, not flow. It focuses on what the law says versus what actually happens. And as long as people keep arguing on the surface level, nothing real will ever get questioned. So let's all collectively grow up and start to follow the math instead of the slogans. Because when you do, you're forced to confront a fundamental truth, which is that the working class pays for everything. And they pay with their lives. Not metaphorically, literally. Alright, so let's briefly go over the taxes that everybody knows about. The decoy taxes. These are the ones that you're allowed to talk about. We got the income tax, the payroll tax, the sales tax or VAT, property tax, the capital gains tax, the corporate tax, and excise tax, like taxes on fuel, alcohol, flights, vehicles, etc. These are the visible taxes, the taxes with form, the taxes with line items and political talking points. They exist mostly to convince you that the system is transparent. It isn't. These taxes are the cover story. Now that we've gone over the bullshit taxes, let's go over the embedded taxes, or the place where the real damage happens. Most taxes are not paid by the ones the law claims that they're taxing. Those taxes get passed along, down the line, until they hit someone who can't pass them any further. Like a game of musical chairs, where the chairs cost more than 99% of us can afford. The taxes get passed to you. For instance, corporate taxes. Corporations do not absorb taxes, ever, regardless of how passionate Bernie or anyone else on the left preaches for corporate taxes. They raise prices, they lower wages, they cut benefits, they cut quality, and they end up hiring less. So when you hear we raise corporate taxes, translate it correctly. Consumers and workers are about to pay more. And then we've got employer payroll taxes. The employer contribution to taxes is just a bookkeeping trick. That money comes out of wages that never existed. If those taxes didn't exist, wages would be higher. This is basic economics, not an opinion. Oh, and then there's property taxes. Renters absolutely pay property taxes, not the landlords. Landlords don't eat that cost out of kindness. It's baked into rents. It always has been. How about tariffs? Tariffs are sold as punishing foreign countries. Yeah, no, they definitely don't do that. They punish domestic consumers immediately through higher prices. Tariffs are consumption taxes, wrapped in patriotic language. I hope all of us are kind of understanding this by now. They also control the government's ability to manipulate what you buy. By making things from one country more expensive, makes you want to buy things from a different country that are less expensive. That's how they direct what you buy. What about fuel taxes? Well, fuel taxes are everywhere. Every mile that food travel, every delivery, every construction project, every bus ride. Literally anytime you're moving things around the country. You pay fuel tax even if you don't own a car. Then we have regulations, the tax that they refuse to call a tax. Politicians or political actors love regulation because it doesn't look like taxation at all. Things like licenses, permits, registration, inspections, zoning laws, environmental reviews divorced from actual harm, or reporting requirements, legal compliance. All of these are a tax on permission. Big corporations hoard this permission, like they hoard land. Small businesses die from it. This is why monopolies love regulation. They helped write it. Fewer competitors, higher prices, less innovation, planned obsolescence so they can extract as much value from each piece of intellectual property that they wrangled from some creator. You pay for all of that. Oh, and then we have your favorite tax, inflation, which is the most efficient tax ever created, because inflation is taxation without legislation. There's no vote, no receipt, no clear rates, and no one to blame. Money gets created, prices rise, wages lag, and savings shrink. If your money buys less than it used to, then congratulations, you've been taxed. But it doesn't hit everybody. You're only affected by inflation if you have an income, if you have any cash, if you have a fixed income, or if you don't own vast amounts of appreciating assets, like 99.99% of us. Majority asset owners always win. Workers always lose. Every single time for generations. I mean, if we're honest, for millennia. Then we have my favorite tax, which is the time tax, where your life is the payment method. Taxes don't just take money, they take time. Filing forms, fighting billing errors, navigating healthcare, dealing with insurance, fixing government mistakes, and most importantly, learning rules that are constantly changing. A few people outsource this, but everybody else pays. Everyone pays for it personally, with their nights, their weekends, and their emergencies. No one refunds your time. Nobody even counts it. It just disappears. And this reality is why I think we need a government that's run by the working class. But let's not forget also the risk tax. Or another way to put it is paying for political chaos. Governments change rules constantly. Businesses don't trust stability, so they price in risk with temporary credit or expiring subsidies, or by shifting enforcement, or even retroactive penalties. Uncertainty raises prices, and you pay for that instability whether you voted for it or not. And anyone that's been alive for more than 25 years knows no other world than an unstable one. But you'll never hear the politicians talk about it. So the big lie is that we're taxing them, not you. This is the most effective lie in modern politics, especially in the Bernie sphere. There is no them. Taxes always flow downhill from corporations to consumers, from employers to workers, from landlords and banks to rents and mortgages. So who really pays all the taxes are the people that can't move. That's labor. That's the working class. So here's the math that makes this impossible to deny. Every cost in an economy gets paid in one of four ways. Number one, labor. Number two, resource extraction. Number three, capital depreciation. And number four, debt, which is future labor. That's it. Now, ask the only question that matters. Which one of these four can't move? Which one can't delay payment? And which one can't opt out? Well, that would be number one, labor, or the working class, or anyone that has a taxable income. That is who the working class is, because they work them taxes. Blue collar, white collar, doesn't fucking matter. That's a delusional border within the working class anyway. So let's just convert everything into one honest unit of measure. Life. Taxes hide that honesty, but time exposes it. When rent goes up, more hours of your life are sold. When food prices rise, the more hours you have to work for each meal. When healthcare costs rise, the more each illness costs you. When transportation costs go up, the more each mile you travel takes from you. Taxes don't just reduce income, they increase the percentage of your life that you must sell off to survive. That's the real cost. Now, the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it's designed. People say the system is inefficient. It isn't. It is extremely good at turning labor into rent. It is extremely good at hiding responsibility. It is extremely good at routing costs to immobile people. It is extremely good at maintaining compliance without force. And it is extremely good at making exploitation feel normal. And the complexity of our tax system is no accident. It's camouflage. So why does the working class pay for everything? Because they're the least mobile. They're the most predictable. They're the most necessary. They're the hardest ones to protect because there's so many of them. But most importantly, because they're the easiest ones to extract from without revolt. Capital can move. Corporations can restructure. Assets appreciate. But labor shows up on fucking Monday or they're gonna starve. The equation that no one wants you to see is that total societal cost divided by people who can't escape equals the working class burden. Every society, every era, every economic system, only the branding changes. The working class pays for the entire society, their money, their time, their health, and essentially their lives. Now, they don't pay for everything because they're stupid. They don't pay for everything because they're lazy. And they especially don't pay everything because they don't understand economics. They pay for everything because the system is built to root cost to whoever cannot escape them. Understand that. And the real question is no longer who should we tax and at what rate. The real question becomes, why are we taxing human life at all? And who benefits from pretending that we aren't? I mean, we are definitely not the beneficiaries of this system, no matter how hard we pretend to be. Unless you grew up in a family whose wealth spans at least a century, you are not the beneficiary of this system, no matter how much money you make. You are the livestock, the serf, the slave. I mean, sure, some of us have nicer barns, but none of us leave the barns. You're given just enough to survive, or just a little more to make it look like you're succeeding. We call it your slice of the pie that you make. And the rest of that pie, that goes up. And it will continue to go up until we come together. You don't need to like your neighbor to work on unionizing. We work with people we don't like all the time. And somehow, the job still gets done. Huh? I guess we don't need to like people to work with them. So just drop the shit that separates us. And let's all start working on taking our government for the working class, so we can change the laws in our favor. I mean, take as long as you want, but the longer we wait, the more work we're gonna have to do. But the way out is not through representation, but through unionization. Not the old centralized hierarchy type of unions, the decentralized neighborhood type. Watch my Quiet Revolution video to learn more. All right, that's all I got for the day. Thanks for watching my video. See you tomorrow. Peace.